The old man has no clue, Clyde whispered, thrilled. 3 bedrooms, huge basement. Parents move in by spring. Elma found a $200 nursing home, cheap and fine. The oven ticked at $3.50. Sage rode the butter. Rain stitched November onto the kitchen window. I stayed halfway up the stairs, hand on the rail. His voice floated from my bedroom like a theft. They measured my life while I basted their dinner. I went down, shut the oven, set the plates. Dinner played polite. Their eyes priced crown molding. They smiled at futures they hadn't earned yet. Need help with the turkey, Dad? She asked softly. I'm managing, I said, and poured more wine. They left glowing, already decorating my rooms. I scrubbed the pan until steel wool hissed. Then I opened the calendar and circled a date. I hadn't signed a thing. I had a plan. Cold, patient, finished before they noticed. But that was only the beginning. The morning after Thanksgiving, the house felt rearranged. Not the furniture. The meaning had shifted overnight. I walked the hallway and touched each door frame once. Habits help when trust evaporates faster than steam. Elma texted at 9 with manufactured warmth. How are you feeling? Need anything today, Dad? I'm fine, I typed. Good dinner, thanks again. Polite, short, and empty of useful signals. 12 minutes later, another nudge arrived on cue. Are the stairs tough? We can evaluate railings. I watched the screen go black and quiet. They needed a story. I let them write it. I made coffee and cleared the table slowly. Plates stacked, knives aligned, tablecloth folded to corners. Order is a language when people rewrite you. I spoke it to the walls and myself. Rain kept a steady tempo on the windows. Seattle turns weather into a patient metronome. Metronomes keep craftsmen honest and thieves impatient. By noon, I chose a different desk. Not my study, the public library on Market. No shared Wi-Fi. No familiar eyes through windows. I parked 2 blocks away and walked. The library smelled of paper and faint lemon. A child laughed, then quiet returned to shelves. I took a corner terminal with clean sightlines. Lines, sight, exits, habits that stay after retirement. Washington property law sole owners sell without notice. Search results confirmed what my bones already knew. Title decides my name alone sat on deed. No cosigners, no joint tenancy, no liens. Ballard median sale, 3-bedroom craftsman updated kitchen. Days on market were low for houses like mine. Cash appeared often enough to anchor timing. Numbers leaned my way, not theirs. Temporary occupancy agreement tenants at Will Washington. Language told a secret they'd never read carefully. Occupants without title keep time, not control. Clocks beat residents, deeds beat opinions. I opened my notebook to a clean header. Project house, owner me, risk family expectation. Then one instruction on the next line. Move the house, not yourself. Elma called at 3, voice syrupy with care. Communities with activities and medical support, Dad. I'll think about it, I said, steady and soft. She exhaled like a salesperson sensing weak resistance. I let coffee fog the glass and fade. Breath taught the rhythm I needed, slow. An attorney first, not an agent, I decided. Attorneys write the stage where agents perform. I called a stranger from the bar directory. No friend of friend who might gossip to Elma. Rothstein Law, the receptionist said, crisp and calm. Questions about selling a primary residence, I answered. Title is clean. Family pressure complicates timing. She found me Thursday, mid-afternoon downtown. At home, I opened the file drawer deliberately. Deed. Mortgage satisfaction. Property tax receipts. Insurance declarations. Roof and furnace service invoices. Proof of stewardship, not just ownership, in order. I laid them across the dining table like drawings. Foundation to finish, years of choices in paper. Marie would have laughed at my neat spread. You're drafting again, she'd say, just without lines. Evening brought another call from Elma. They have ceramics 3 times a week. Sounds nice, I said, comparing tiles in silence. She mistook that tone for surrender. Her mistake. Thursday, elevator to the 14th floor, downtown. Wood glass and quiet confidence framed the office. Rothstein shook my hand without small talk filler. Useful in a city that worships small talk. Tell me your question precisely, he said. My house is mine alone, I answered. Can I sell without telling my daughter? Yes, he said, if she isn't on title. He waited for the second question patiently. If someone is staying there unpaid, what then? 30 days written notice after closing, he said. Unlawful detainer if they refuse. Sheriff enforces. And before closing? I asked, watching posture. Before closing, you control access and keep quiet. Trade keys if you must. Change locks if prudent. Don't invite arguments, invite documents. He slid a pad across the desk. Fastest timeline uses a cash buyer. Inspection waived, funds verified, escrow efficient. 30 days common, less is possible. We set dates like studs on centers. Deadlines make structures. Structures make safety. He confirmed what the library already told me. Then said the sentence I needed most. Adult children have no claim to a parent's house. Not in Washington, not without title. He let that rest between us, heavy. Weight without volume, the best kind. Back home, I checked the spare key drawer. Still there, old brass, cool, familiar weight. Clyde had borrowed it last spring for emergencies. Plenty of time to copy without a trace. The phone buzzed, then finally surrendered to quiet. Silence can be a mirror. Let people face themselves. I cooked a simple dinner and ate standing. Muscle memory steadied what anger tried shaking. After dishes, I pulled out graph paper. Old habit, new plan, same careful hands. Phase 1. Appear to consider safer housing. 2 weeks. Soft voice, short steps, occasional sigh. Phase 2. Legal and market prep off stage. 3 weeks. Attorney, discreet agent, funds verified. Phase 3. Execute sale and wire funds. 1 week buffer for predictable noise. Phase 4. Notice to vacate, day after closing. 30 days. Sheriff scheduled if required. Phase 5. Relocate quietly and begin different life. Permanent timeline. Temporary address if helpful. No facility, no bells, no assigned seating. I pinned that sheet inside the study cabinet. Move the house, underlined twice like a beam size. Sleep came easier with a plan I liked. People mistake a plan for anger. It isn't. The weekend, Elma arrived with a brochure smile. Sunset Gardens, she said, placing it carefully. Photos of seniors laughing under perfect skylights. A price in bold I already knew. I'll look, I said, tapping the edge once. Her eyes widened, then softened into practiced relief. She thought she'd opened a door. She saw a door. She didn't see the hinge I'd already moved. Sunday afternoon, Tom waved me from his porch. Weird thing, Tuesday, he said, scratching his jaw. Your son-in-law brought 2 older folks here. They had keys, toured rooms, took measurements. The air thinned, but my posture didn't change. You sure? I asked. He nodded without theater. They argued about a couch on the west wall. 2 hours inside, I almost called you. Next time call, I said quietly and plain. He understood that next mattered more than almost. I thanked him and walked home without hurry. Every board felt familiar under my feet. Houses answer the person who listens longest. Monday, I made one more decision for control. Agent interviews would happen away from Ballard. Neutral ground keeps whispers from finding roots. Cafes where names drain into steam and noise. They wanted me moved like spare furniture. I would move something harder to lift. Not myself, not my dignity, not my mind. I would move the house they furnished in dreams. Monday started with practiced concern and gentle voices. Elma called early. Dad, can we talk options? Exploring is fine, I said. Deciding takes longer. Minutes later, Clyde texted like a salesman. Falls happen fast, let's plan. He loved numbers when they fed his story. I loved numbers when they held the floor. By noon, brochures arrived like bright bait. Smiling seniors, chef-prepared meals, worry-free living. I stacked them by the fruit bowl, untouched. Tuesday, he pressed harder, kindness sharpened by control. Tour Thursday, Clyde said, no commitment. I agreed, the first move in my act. Wednesday night, Tom called. Lights again, after 9. Not yet, I said. Let them dream. Thursday, the facility smelled like bleach and boiled carrots. Patricia, in her blazer, smiled through memorized lines. Community, safety, peace of mind. Elma nodded at every phrase like a metronome. We saw a studio with a window to asphalt. A microwave counted as a kitchen. A bathroom with bars where dignity once stood. Elma touched my elbow. It's lovely. A woman with clouded eyes leaned toward me. Don't come here, she whispered. Not if you can choose. The words stayed in my bones. I smiled, polite, and kept walking. Back in the car, Clyde praised the place. Clean, safe, perfect for you. Elma added, you'd make friends, relax more. I'll think, I said. They heard surrender. I heard opportunity. At home, I brewed coffee, steady hands. Steam rose like a flag of patience. The smell of roast and rain mingled faintly. I called Margaret Chen, a discreet agent. Ballard, 3-bed craftsman, she said quickly. Cash buyer possible this month. How private? I asked. Soundproof, she said and smiled. I need silence until closing, I said. You're the seller, she replied. They're occupants. Her words fit like joints in oak. I signed the prelim and hid copies deep. Friday, Elma called, voice bright with triumph. Dad, we can put a deposit soon. Only if it fits, I said evenly. What's fit? She asked. Money? Space? Everything measured, I answered. Clyde sent a layout of the unit. See? No stairs. He annotated like a broker rehearsing sales. That night he poured my whiskey for friends. Tom saw from across the street. Careful with that, he muttered. He texted one word. Loud. I replied, good. Saturday, I left props where they'd look. A furnace note, a stool, a sigh. Elma arrived with pastries and plans. Dad, we just want easier. In that building? I asked. Or this house? In that building? She said quickly. Clyde inspected corners like an investor. Elma smiled too long at crown molding. Their eyes stripped value with every glance. They left with promises to help with forms. I folded pastries into foil for Tom. Then I wrote, "They believe now." Sunday, I visited Sunset Gardens alone. The gates hummed open. Residents stared from glass. Boxes marked "personal" stacked near the curb. I parked, then left without knocking. That evening, Margaret called. "I have buyers, local, cash, quiet." "Keep it off market," I said. "NDA's filed," she confirmed. We set closing for 30 days. My calendar finally had meaning again. Monday came with soft rain. Elma called, voice trembling. "Dad, can we put your name on forms?" "Forms?" I asked. "For the community we toured," she said. "Bring them," I told her. "We'll look together." They arrived with a folder and confidence. Clyde spread pages like a dealer's hand. I read slow, asked harmless questions. Then I signed nothing and pushed it back. "We'll do the deposit soon," he said. "If that's what you want," I answered. He smiled, thinking he'd won. The smile was worth the silence it bought. That afternoon, I walked through steady drizzle. Calm lives and counting steps. At home, I wrote on a scrap. "Calm is strength. Paper is power." I taped it inside the cabinet door. Evening brought their final push. Clyde called, measuring each word. "We just want what's best. Say the word." "The word?" I asked. "Yes or no," he said. I let silence breathe 10 heartbeats, then gave him what he wanted. "I've been thinking," I said. "Let's do it." He exhaled like a man finishing a sale. "You won't regret this," he said proudly. Maybe he believed that. Maybe I needed him to. When he hung up, the house stayed still. Coffee cooled. Rain softened the roof. The refrigerator hummed like a quiet witness. Across town, they were laughing at plans. They didn't know I had my own. I locked the files, checked the drawer. Everything ready, signatures timed, notices prepared. They heard yes. I meant, "Thank you for the proof." Later that night, Tom texted again. "Your driveway lights are on, same car." "Let them measure dreams," I wrote back. He replied with a photo, Clyde's silhouette inside. Phone glow on his face, holding papers. My blueprint spread across the table. Proof of life, proof of arrogance. Then a second image followed, closer. The glow revealed a page corner. My initials on it, faint but visible. Evidence I never left out. They'd copied what wasn't theirs to touch. The fridge clicked off. The silence turned heavy. I saved both photos, labeled them insurance. The phone buzzed again. "Tom, want me to call the cops?" "No," I typed. "Let the script finish itself." Outside, the rain deepened, thick and rhythmic. Somewhere a car door slammed, maybe his, maybe theirs. I turned off my lamp. When this door closes, it won't creak. It'll close clean, on schedule, and legal. I didn't sleep that night. The rain stopped near 3, leaving a silence that felt earned. I made coffee before dawn, black, bitter, grounding. The window fogged with breath I hadn't noticed. For the first time, I didn't wipe it away. Tom came by before work. He looked tired, cautious, like a man holding someone else's secret. "You sure you don't want the police?" he asked. "Not yet," I said. "Not until they cross the line twice." He nodded, half understanding. After he left, I checked every document. Deed, title, insurance, utilities. Each one in my name sealed and dated. Clyde's copy machine hadn't reached that far. I smiled, small and quiet, the kind you hide behind steam. By noon, Elma texted, "We're meeting the facility manager at 3. I replied, "I'll be ready." She added a heart emoji, her version of peace. I didn't answer. I spent the next hours rehearsing politeness. Not words, posture. How long to pause before saying yes. When to nod, when to look tired. They liked me tired. It made me manageable. At 3, Clyde arrived first. He carried folders, cheap confidence, and my stolen blueprint. "Elma's parking," he said, already in my chair. He smelled faintly of cologne and bourbon. Power, reheated and stale. "Nice plans," I said. He froze, half grin still in place. "Tom sent them," I added. His jaw twitched. He pretended to laugh. "Old neighbors worry too much." "Sometimes," I said, "they notice more than family does." Elma entered then, holding new contracts. Her tone was soft, almost pleading. "Dad, this is the final step. Just your initials." I motioned for her to sit. Clyde stood instead, watching my pen. I opened the folder slowly. The print smelled faintly of toner and rain. Each line was crafted to sound harmless. Transfer of convenience, temporary occupancy. Buried deep, an addendum with my house address. I looked at Clyde. "Temporary," I said, "can be a long time." He smiled again, smaller this time. Elma reached for my hand. "We just want you safe, Dad." Her fingers were cold. "You want quiet," I corrected, "and ownership." Her hand dropped. "I don't like what you're implying," she whispered. "Then don't read too closely," I said. The clock ticked between us, steady and judgmental. Outside, a crow landed on the mailbox. Its claws scraped metal, sharp, deliberate. The sound made Clyde flinch. I took that as my cue. "I'll sign," I said finally. They both exhaled too quickly. "But I'll need to review one clause." I opened my drawer and pulled out a fresh sheet. Notarized letterhead, new date. Clyde leaned forward to see. This states, I said, that the seller retains full rights until closing. He frowned. Seller? You said it yourself, I said evenly. This is a transaction. Elma blinked, confused. Dad, what do you mean? I mean the paperwork you copied was accurate, I said. The property's already listed. Silence hit like weather change. Clyde's face went pale, his voice smaller. You sold it? Not yet, I said, but soon. To who? Elma asked. Someone who won't call me an expense. Clyde stood, trying to recover control. You can't, there are legal... There are, I interrupted, and I know all of them. I slid another paper across the table. A printout from my lawyer's email, notice of intent to sell. Their eyes moved together, left to right, disbelief sinking. Elma whispered, You're serious? As a mortgage, I said. Her lip trembled. You planned this? I rehearsed, I said, while you rehearsed lies. The clock hit 5. Sunlight thinned across the table, gray and final. Clyde gathered his folders. Let's talk tomorrow, he muttered. You'll want a lawyer present, I said. He didn't answer. After they left, I locked the door. The house exhaled, long and tired. I brewed tea, weaker this time. Steam rose and disappeared fast. The silence felt heavier but honest. I walked room to room, tracing the walls. Every mark had a story. Paint stains, nail holes, faint pencil lines. Elma had drawn there once, years ago. A crooked sun above a stick man. Daddy, she'd said back then, don't erase it. I hadn't. Now my fingers found it again, almost gone. Some things fade on their own. Others need light to disappear. I sat by the window until dark. The crow returned to the railing, watching me. Its wings rustled like paper, dry and final. I whispered, soon. The word felt clean. I closed the folder. Tomorrow signatures would fall exactly where they belonged. Morning came quiet, gray, deliberate. I dressed in silence, old shirt, pressed trousers, steady hands. Every button felt like a countdown. Tom waited outside in his truck. Ready? He asked. As I'll ever be, I said. We drove to Margaret's office downtown. She worked above a bakery. The smell of bread filled the hallway. Smells honest, Tom said. That's why I chose her, I replied. Margaret greeted me with that calm lawyer's use before storms. Documents are prepared. They'll be served this afternoon. Good, I said. I want them to read, not react. Tom leaned on the wall, arms crossed. What exactly are we serving? He asked. Margaret smiled. Notice of sale and notice of misuse. She handed me a thin envelope. Inside, legal paper crisp as winter air. My name printed in full, their names beneath. No anger, just order. They copied property files, she said, tapping the page. That qualifies as tampering. And attempted coercion, I added. She nodded. You've got witnesses and timestamps. That's enough. Tom grinned. Guess I'm more useful than cameras. Cameras break, I said. Neighbors remember. By noon, the courier left. One copy for Clyde, one for Elma, one filed with the county. The law didn't need fury. It just needed proof. And proof was what I had. At 1, Clyde called. His voice cracked like static under pressure. What the hell is this, Reuben? Paperwork, I said. You like paperwork. You blindsided us. No, I said. You just weren't looking. Elma called 10 minutes later. Dad, please, can we talk? Just us? Her tone shook, part guilt, part confusion. Come by at 4, I said. Bring Clyde. When they arrived, the air smelled like wet concrete. They stood on the porch like strangers. I motioned them in, pointed to the table. 3 envelopes waited there. 1 each, I said. Elma sat. Clyde didn't. He started first. You can't sell the house without telling us. I just did, I said. You'll regret this, he warned. I doubt that, I replied. Elma tried to soften the moment. Dad, we made mistakes, but it's too far. Mistakes end when you admit them, I said. Her eyes glistened. Do you think we wanted to hurt you? I think you wanted control, I said. And you almost had it. Clyde slammed his folder shut. You think this makes you clever? No, I said. It makes me free. Tom's truck pulled up outside. Clyde glanced at the window. You called backup? Witness, I said. You taught me documentation matters. Elma's breathing quickened. She looked smaller now, her confidence gone. Dad, she said softly, we didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I asked. Helping you plan, thinking ahead, using my name to secure financing? Her silence answered for her. I opened my folder and slid out photos. Clyde's silhouette, the stolen blueprints, the faint initials on the corner. He looked at them, face draining color. You broke into my study, I said. He started to speak, but no sound came. Elma covered her mouth. I told Tom to wait, I continued. I wanted you to show yourselves. Clyde whispered, We were just worried about you. You were worried about missing equity, I said. That's different. The clock ticked behind us, louder than before. No one moved for nearly a minute. Then Elma reached for my hand again. Her touch trembled, uncertain. Dad, please, let's fix this. I met her eyes, tired but steady. We are fixing it, I said. With signatures and boundaries. Margaret arrived then, right on time. Her heels clicked like punctuation across the floor. Afternoon, she said calmly. I'll make this brief. She set down another stack of papers. Transfer to buyer approved. Escrow begins Monday. Clyde blinked, disbelieving. You went through with it? Quietly, I said. That's how justice sounds. Margaret handed Elma a second envelope. Your signatures here acknowledge prior actions were unauthorized. What happens if we don't sign? Clyde asked. You'll receive notice of intent to prosecute, she said. Her tone never wavered. You have 48 hours. Elma whispered. He really did it. Clyde muttered something under his breath. Margaret ignored him. Mr. Hawkins, she said to me, we're done here. Thank you, I replied. As they left, Elma turned once more. Tears streaked her makeup, soft lines of remorse. I never wanted it like this. I know, I said, but wanting isn't enough. The door closed behind them with a final click. Tom stepped inside, shaking his head. Clean as a courtroom, he said. That was the goal, I replied. The air in the house shifted. It didn't feel empty. It felt cleared. The rain had stopped. Dust floated in the light. I poured 2 coffees, handed one to Tom. He raised it in a quiet toast. To calm, he said. To paper, I added. We drank. The silence didn't feel heavy anymore. After he left, I opened my drawer again. Inside were Elma's childhood photos. Birthday cakes, beach trips, crayons. I didn't hate her. I just couldn't let her keep rewriting me. That night I sat by the same window. The crow wasn't there, but its feather was. Black, perfect, left behind. I placed it between the contracts. Proof that flight is possible even after storms. My phone buzzed once. A message from Elma. I'm sorry, Dad. No punctuation, no excuses. Just that. I typed one line back. Boundaries make peace. Then I set the phone face down. Outside, thunder rolled somewhere far but harmless. The kind that reminds you storms can end quietly, too. 2 days later, Margaret called. Closing confirmed, she said. Wire received, ownership transferred. Her words landed like clean architecture. Measured, balanced, final. Thank you, I told her. Pleasure working with you, she replied. The line clicked off. Outside, the air smelled new. Seattle's clouds parted just enough for light. I stood in the doorway of the house one last time. Boxes gone, curtains open. Every surface carried a faint echo of life once shared. I ran my hand along the banister, wood smooth from decades of use. It didn't feel like loss. It felt like release. Tom waited at the curb, truck engine idling. You sure you don't want a photo? He asked. No, I said. Some endings don't need witnesses. He nodded, eyes kind. You did what you had to. No, I said softly. I did what they made me do. We drove in silence through wet streets. Ballard blurred past like memory through glass. The old bakery, the park where Elma learned to ride. Each landmark passed without ache. By the time we reached Columbia City, I felt lighter. The condo smelled like paint and possibility. Unfurnished space, clean lines, high ceiling. I opened the balcony door. Lake Union glimmered under pale sunlight. The air tasted like rain and metal. Freedom always does. I unpacked only what mattered. The watch collection. One photo. Elma at 8, smiling with missing teeth. The rest stayed boxed. Not forgotten, just archived. That evening, Margaret emailed the final documents. I printed them, placed them in a drawer labeled Finished Projects. That's how I chose to remember this. Not revenge, not loss, just completion. The next week brought headlines about rising rents, names and numbers that no longer included mine. I watched from my balcony, coffee in hand, thinking of Clyde calculating square footage, Porter talking about renovations that would never exist, Lydia browsing catalogs she could no longer afford. Tom called one morning. You seen the neighborhood news? No, I said. Should I? They moved out last night, he said. Truck, boxes, rain pouring like punishment. Any drama? No, he said, just silence and headlights. Good, I said. Later that day, a voicemail arrived. Elma's voice, thin, tired. Dad, please, we're trying to start over. Pause. I know we deserve what happened, but please, tell me you're okay. I listened twice, not for meaning, but for tone. There was no defiance left, only fatigue. Weeks passed. I saw her once outside a grocery store in Fremont. She carried paper bags and moved differently, slower, smaller. When our eyes met, she froze. I nodded once. She managed a faint, guilty smile. That was enough. Forgiveness is optional. Recognition is closure. Clyde never called again. Rumor said his parents moved to Idaho. Cheaper life, same arrogance. I didn't check. Their distance was my peace. The condo filled gradually. A rug from a market. A coffee table made from reclaimed oak. Small things, deliberate choices. Every item earned its place. No ghosts followed. One afternoon I joined a volunteer program. for retired architects advising nonprofits. They called it Design with Dignity. I liked that. My first project, a community center expansion in Rainier Valley, a place for people still building, not taking. At the first meeting, the director asked why I joined. Because I like plans that help people stay standing, I said. He laughed, not knowing how literal that was. Weeks turned into routines. Morning coffee on the balcony, sketches spread across the table. Evening walks through Fremont's narrow streets. Sometimes I'd pass families arguing over groceries, or couples whispering in parked cars. Life repeating its small betrayals, always thinking it's unique. Summer arrived with longer light. I caught myself humming while drawing, something I hadn't done in years. Not joy exactly, but steadiness. Then, late July, an envelope arrived. Handwritten. Return address smudged, but I knew the handwriting. Elma. I let it sit for a full day. Old habit, measure twice, open once. When I did, the paper smelled faintly of her perfume. Inside, just one page. Dad. I lost more than a house. I lost you. Clyde's gone. His parents moved. I'm learning the cost of comfort built on lies. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking to understand how you kept calm, while everything fell apart. I folded it slowly. No reply needed. She'd already started learning the answer. That evening I sat on the balcony again. Sailboats drifted below, quiet white lines on dark water. The city glowed. No bitterness left, no fire either. Just quiet arithmetic. What was taken, what was kept, what was earned back. At 8, Tom called from Ballard. Neighbors still mention your story, he said. Say it's like a local legend. Legends belong to heroes, I said. I just learned to stop being prey, he chuckled. That's rarer. Later that night, thunder rolled again. Soft, distant, harmless. I left the balcony door open, listening to rain slide against glass. The city pulsed with life below. Unconcerned, unrepentant, beautiful in its ordinary cruelty. I thought of Marie, gone decades now. What she'd say about all this? Probably nothing. She'd just nod, pour coffee, and whisper, "Took you long enough." I smiled into the dark. When dawn came, it brought quiet gold. Steam from my mug curled upward, catching the first light over Lake Union. Somewhere in that glow, I felt the sharp edges of the past soften. On my desk, the old phone blinked once. A new message from Elma. I didn't open it, just reached over, held the power button until the screen died. The silence afterward felt earned. I returned to the balcony, not as a father wronged, but as a man rebuilt. The air smelled like rain and paper, like something finished yet clean. The city below moved on, unaware of the quiet war that ended above it. And maybe that's the point. Revenge fades. Dignity stays. You win not when they lose, but when you stop explaining why. The sailboats turned toward the marina. I watched until they vanished in morning glare. Then I went inside, picked up my pencil, and started sketching again. The condo settled into silence that didn't demand repair. No ghosts, no apologies waiting to be earned. Just the steady click of an old watch on my desk. Time kept moving, and for once I didn't chase it. Some evenings I walked by Lake Union. Rain would mist across the water, soft as breath. Seattle lights bent on the surface like thin gold wire. I'd count the reflections, just to remind myself, clarity isn't loud, it's consistent. Elma wrote twice that fall. Short, plain sentences. No excuses. Just, I'm working again, and I understand now. Growth always sounds quieter than guilt. I didn't answer. Some lessons bloom better without witnesses. Boundaries, I learned, are just fences that let truth grow back. They hold until care learns respect again. Clyde disappeared from every map that mattered. Rumor said the easy money dried up, and the people he charmed found new targets. I didn't check. Some absences are maintenance, not loss. I volunteered twice a week at the community center, taught drafting to teenagers with patience sharper than rulers. Straight lines are easy, I'd tell them. Integrity's the hard part. They laughed, but they remembered. One girl asked if I missed my old house. Not the house, I said, the discipline it took to build it. She nodded like she'd understood something adult. Maybe she did. Late September, I got a card from Sarah and Michael Chen, the new owners. They'd refinished the floors and kept the railing. Your craftsmanship still holds, the note read. That was all I needed to hear. Legacy doesn't shout, it stands. Tom stopped by sometimes with coffee and quiet company. We didn't talk about revenge. We talked about tomatoes, weather, and wood grain. Real friendship lives where the noise stops. One night he asked, "Do you ever think they'll say sorry?" I said, "If they do, I'll listen, but I won't audition." He laughed into his cup. "That's solid architecture," he said. "Good foundations," I replied. When the phone blinked again, I let it. Not every message needs an audience. Silence can be both answer and boundary. Peace doesn't arrive, it's maintained. Elma's final email came before Thanksgiving. "I'll set one plate less this year," she wrote. That's how regret learns space. I closed the screen gently. Some honesty you acknowledge by staying still. I kept my rituals simple. Coffee before dawn. Walks at dusk. Paperwork done before noon. Freedom tastes best without garnish. I still hear their laughter sometimes. The night they planned it all. It doesn't sting anymore. It's background noise, like distant thunder. You can respect a storm without standing in it. Here's what I know now. Anger burns fast, but structure lasts. Paper beats volume. Truth needs no echo. Justice, when it's real, doesn't raise its voice. If you're listening to this, remember, silence isn't weakness. It's a tool for people who've stopped begging to be understood. Keep your deeds documented, your heart unborrowed, and your dignity non-negotiable. The condo clock ticks through another night. It's not loneliness. It's inventory, time accounted for, honestly. The city hums and I let it. Peace isn't quiet, it's earned decibel by decibel. Tomorrow I'll draw again. Maybe a bridge, maybe a room that feels safe. Blueprints don't care about revenge. They care about stability. That's good enough for me. If you've stayed with me till now, thank you. If this story made you stop and think, tap that like button, subscribe, and tell me where in the world you're listening from. Because maybe, just maybe, some stories build more than houses. They build boundaries that hold.